Well, I'm driving back from Salida. I'm actually in South Park right now. So I've got a long drive and some heaviness on my heart. So that makes for a bad video. It's, now I'm driving a delivery truck. So a little different angles. But like before when I did it in the car, I didn't, don't necessarily have to look straight at the camera all the time in order to get my point across. I've just got too much downtime right now not to take advantage of it. And the sunglasses weren't coming off anyway because I've spent too much time crying today. So it was kind of odd that I heard about Chester from Linkin Park committing suicide. And a couple minutes later, I heard Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult, which is about suicide, on the radio, and it just really got me thinking. My uncle actually committed suicide when I was 2 or 3. My coach that I'm working with, his brother committed suicide. Another friend of mine from a business networking group, her son committed suicide. Danielle Steele, the only book of hers that I ever read was called His Bright Light. I read that probably when I was 16. And he had committed suicide. I've actually been in the psych ward twice. Once when I was 15, and then once when I was 20 for suicide attempts. Actually laughing on a Lyme disease support group Facebook page that, you can tell a good day from a bad day on whether I've only had 4 thoughts of suicide compared to 20. And did you know that transgender teens are, what's the statistic? 40% of them try to commit suicide, I think is what I read. It's a very, very, very high statistic. Oh, and one of my ex-boyfriends actually committed suicide about, was it last month? The month before that? And then you got Chris Cornell from Soundgarden, which was devastating. And then now this with Chester. I actually met Chester. I partied with him. It's a really funny story. I'm not sure I know where I was going with this post. It just seems to be around me too much these days not to just say something about it, comment on it, something. I don't know, man. I got sick again back in April, and I've fallen into a dark hole that I haven't really been able to come back from. And I haven't really said anything to too many people because I don't really want them locking me up. She's sick, so, let's cage her away like an animal because that'll help her will to live. I don't trust a lot of the pharmaceutical stuff. A lot of these mass murders and shooting sprees and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff's been linked back to antidepressants and antipsychotics. I suppose if I'm going to go, I'd rather just take myself out, not a big group of innocent bystanders. I'm always torn too. I've got this kiddo that needs me, but half the time I'm not even any good to myself. So it's just a very bizarre world. It's especially to be empathic, and I think that's a lot of my problems too. I feel too much. I've recently gone almost damn near vegetarian because I can't handle the way we treat animals, especially in large confinement operations. The dairy industry is absolutely deplorable. And I can never wrap my head around on how people can see videos or know what is going on, the kind of abuse and stuff, and nobody does anything about it. Human trafficking and abuse and elderly abuse. And I just, there's so much sickness going on in the world, and nobody's doing anything about it. Like I said, I'm rambling. I think part of me was just, how like a lot of my spiritual practices, they say in order to overcome the darkness, you have to bring it into the light. And I guess I have felt like that this is some kind of a wicked secret that I've been carrying around. And I just can't handle that burden anymore. So I guess I'm putting it out there. It's not a secret anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do with this information. I don't know what I'm going to do about myself. I'm going to continue to help the kiddo out. You know what's funny too is a lot of religions and a lot of even spiritual practices talk about the damnation that comes to a person who commits suicide. You know, and I'm a big believer that when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. You know, actually, an old sponsor of mine tried to kill herself with a gun and didn't succeed. Oh, so there's another person I know. You know, so if it was really her time to go, it would have worked. But obviously, it wasn't her time to go. So how can you be, I don't know, punished for your time to go, and you just chose to take matters into your own hands instead of letting Mother Nature do it? I don't know. It's just bizarre to me that to seem that a soul would continue to suffer, considering that the reason they took themselves out to begin with is because they suffer. I don't know. It's a weird conversation. It's a weird topic. I think, too, the reason why it hurts me so much is like Linkin Park's lyrics I have always related to. They are very deep and dark and, you know, crawling in my skin. You know, these wounds, they will not heal. So I suppose when you're feeling like that, to actually have someone else put words to the depth of the darkness that's going on inside you actually is comforting. Because there's usually not a whole lot of people that understand what you're going through. Most people, even when I tell them a little bit of what I go through or what goes on in my head, look at me like I'm crazy. I don't know, maybe I am. Maybe I should stop fighting it. I don't know, I just open up a dialogue about suicide. What are your thoughts? What do you feel? What happens to people when they commit suicide? How do you think we should help people who don't want to be here anymore? Or do you think we should just let them go? What are your thoughts on suicide?